At the Kremlin?
Good evening and welcome to the Town of Douglas Planning Board meeting for Thursday, December 9th, 2021. Time is 7:01. First item on the agenda, public hearings, continued Pine Sand and Stone Company applications for an earth removal special permit and water resource protection overlay district special permit, 39 West Street. We have a letter in our packet requesting an extension to the January 13th, 2022, someone's still in 21, meeting.
For 7 PM.
So, yes, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Mike Z, seconded by Ernie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right. We'll move to number 2 on additional business, if we can. Is anyone here for that, the request for the release of lot number 29 on Woodland Road? Okay. Matt, did you want to fill in the board? Do we have something in our packet?
Do believe we have a request for release. Originally, they had come to us for a request for a bond reduction, but instead of that, after our last discussion, this was reduced to just a request for release of lot 29. I did receive a modification to this at 6 PM today to ask for both lots. I would say that's a little late to the table. So I, myself, and the building inspector don't have any issues with the release of lot 29 at this time.
Board, so if we remember, they're gonna withdraw their request for release of the cash bond.
What is the lot, Matt, was you looking for?
68 Woodland Road, which is number 29,
Yeah.
lot
But you
29.
said At 6 o'clock, then I asked for another one?
Yeah, lot 21 and lot 29.
I have no problem with that.
Was there any problem with doing both of them?
I don't have a problem. They did, through the chair, they did respond to the pavement problem.
Yes,
And they repaired the sidewalk that was damaged. They took out the square that was damaged, and they redid it. And John is happy with the work they've done, so
okay,
just to relay that.
that's fast work.
Yep.
Sure.
Is it holiday time? Is it someone suggesting?
Yes,
I mean, 'cause I have no problem with the 2 lots where they've been,
we have the cash bond,
yeah, where
I
they've
don't
been
have a problem either.
straight up.
and they
Forward.
actually did what they said that they were gonna
Said they were gonna
do
do.
between one meeting.
Is it just an issue, though? The agenda only has them requesting for number 29.
Unanticipated.
public hearing.
It was definitely unanticipated because it was 6 PM.
Yeah.
But this is not, it's not a public hearing. so-
No.
Yeah, there's no problem.
Well,
Protocol.
you want a motion?
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion.
Entertain a motion to release the two lots. One which did come in late this afternoon for lot number 29 and lot 21 for Woodland Road.
Motion's made by Mike Z,
I'll second.
second by Les. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous. All right, we have an accessory apartment extension, Kelly Graveson Payne, 141 Northwest Main Street. Matt, do you want to give us a little overview?
This is one of the final remaining accessory apartment extensions of the year. There was one that we had not collected yet, but this one checked all the boxes on the checklist, met all the criteria for the accessory apartment. I have no issues with the extension.
Okay. Do we have a copy in the file?
We do.
Okay.
We don't each.
I do not.
No.
Oh, okay.
We don't have you.
We don't have it.
Does anyone want to look at that? It's yeah, it's a extension. I guess we're calling it extensions?
And I don't see.
Okay.
Extension.
I'll entertain a motion for 141 Northwest.
Don't move.
Motion is made by Ernie,
I'll second.
second by Jake. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. 5 minutes. Doing pretty good. Director of Community Development updates.
All right, so I just have something to pass around for everyone. I mentioned this at the last meeting about ordering nameplates. Just would
Yes.
like for you to verify the way we spelled your names, and
Oh.
just let me know if that's okay for you.
Definitely Jake, you need to double check yours.
Nameplates.
Nameplates.
We'll have these put in front of us.
That's to remind us.
Who we are? Who we're yelling at?
Where was that?
I'm I'm gonna have mine tattooed on my floor.
Any other
How many years you
updates?
been here?
Too many.
They don't know your name yet?
Not at this time. That was my.
Cheers.
Okay.
They know your name.
And do we want to sign the vouchers or look at meeting minutes for 9 minutes?
Do you want us to check these off?
No,
No,
just make
If you
sure.
have anything you want to change, just write it in. We do have item number 1, additional business also.
Yeah. Is it gonna be quick?
Yeah.
Okay. Jake, do you wanna talk about ASD Wallem? I'll recuse myself on that item, and I can pass it to you.
Yeah, number 1, additional business, ASD Wallem Lake Solar, 269 Wallem Lake Road, SPR-181002, decommission fund agreement update.
Brief update, we did collect the bond amount from them. We have established an account, put that money into the account. We did get feedback from the, excuse me, let me back up for a second. We had our engineer do a review, and so we were waiting for their engineers to reply to that review, and we did get that revision, or excuse me, that reply today. So I did send it off to our consultant just to verify the information. That's all we have for an update right now. So we have the money in hand, and the project appears to be moving along with the response we got from their engineer.
Through the chair. Who's our engineer on that project?
Jeff Walsh, our peer review consultant.
Okay, just for the record. Just for the minutes too. Jeff Walsh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. I'm good with that. Wasn't sure who we're using. Good to know.
Yeah, that was just an update, right?
That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, no votes necessary.
That's it?
All right.
I have a question, and it's not on here, but it was talked about through the chair. Did the paving get done? Down the street? That was supposed to be done by the end of the month? The parking lot at the medicinal
Yeah,
business?
93 Davis.
Yeah.
I
Anybody
can,
know if that got completed? It was supposed to be done by the 1st of December.
correct.
I've been informed that it's not.
Yeah,
It
Ken.
is not?
Yeah.
So the building inspector is well aware of that.
Yep, he mentioned it to me in passing.
So what are we gonna do?
Unfortunately, I don't think we can discuss it since it's not on the agenda, but
It's been a continuing thing on the agenda, so even though it's not in print, we had an agreed upon date, and this is the meeting after that date, so I don't see any reason that, on here or not, it's a continuing circumstance.
So,
This ain't good. So, what are we gonna do?
I think Ken was working on, I believe Ken brought it up, and he mentioned it to me in passing.
We only have 1 meeting this month.
Yes.
This is it, yeah. Yeah.
The 13th.
So I-
It's a circumstance where this can's been kicked down the road, I think, far enough. We all agreed, I mean, I didn't agree, and now we're in the circumstance which I knew was gonna happen. So,
I just don't feel comfortable doing anything at this meeting with it not on the agenda. I'd rather try to get on the agenda with the building inspector here.
Yeah.
so why wasn't it on the agenda?
was talked about in advance. I was not aware of this, so.
Yeah.
Ken being the enforcing authority for this, who can issue cease and desist if necessary, the ball would really be in his court for this.
He can request an update from the owner, a new timeline, and present that back to our board. And I think Ken's looking into, you know,
I want it on the agenda for the first meeting of the year, please.
Yes, sir.
I just heard about that.
Well, good. All I'm saying is, here we go again.
Moving on from that subject, I think,
Matt, was there anything else you're gonna cover on your update?
No, sir.
Okay.
Do we have any vouchers? Did we sign?
There's a couple in there.
Yeah, we got about, yeah, did anybody review the meeting minutes?
Mike?
All eyes on you.
Actually, I did.
You did?
I think. I don't know if it's the same one.
While he's doing that,
September 23rd is in here.
yeah. Or wait,
Yeah.
Matt, do we know if the 55 and older is getting close to first to look at?
Page
Getting
1,
there.
7:20 PM.
Yep.
There's a John Federico with blank, and the blank is empty. There should be something in there.
Yeah, the engineering firm that he works for.
Do we know what that is? Can we put it in here? Correct?
Sleepy Hollow, so I would assume that that blank would be, is that Alan?
G&H?
Would you? Yeah, Alan.
I don't think
I want to
so.
guess.
I don't think so.
Health insurance?
No, it's not,
I think it's important to provide that he's with his partner or his comrade.
Oh, yeah, they just couldn't hear who it was.
yeah.
We'll update that in-house.
And then my name is spelled wrong, has an E in it for the attendance, and attendance is spelled wrong for September 23rd.
Yeah, you're right.
What are we doing, striking the with?
No, he can handle that in-house, you'd say.
Yeah.
Matt would just,
Matt can handle it.
Update it.
well, he'll update that part, but then,
Okay. But the meeting, this will be modified.
Yeah.
right, but attendance.
Amended.
We can vote for it with amendments.
With amendments.
Okay, that's all I have for December 23rd.
Then the E out of the name,
Yep.
attendance flipped, and then
Just back to the 23rd.
the opposite.
The adjourn, just my last name spelled wrong. I know it's difficult. I take no offense.
Which,
Is it spelled it up on the top wrong too?
No, it's just that last sentence on.
Yeah, you're missing the C, right?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, for sure it is. Can't win, Jake.
Missing the C at the adjournment, at the end, or
Oh, okay,
at the bottom.
Yeah.
Still on September 23rd?
Yeah, we're missing the letter on Jake's last name, just drop the I across the T, put in the C.
Okay.
I'll move that we accept meeting minutes for September 23rd as amended.
motion made by Ernie, seconded by Mike G. All those in favor?
Aye.
And he does work for G&H,
G and H.
Gurrier and Hellman, Inc.
G and H.
Good, Mike.
14?
October 14th. Page 2, item 6. It's not Duggar's liquors, it's Diggers.
Yes, it
An
is.
aye. Yeah.
Bugger, he just got put in prison.
Did he?
Yeah, part of that family.
Yeah. 16, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know what that
Yeah, I didn't know he was,
It's worse than you would ever imagine.
yeah.
Anybody have any other comments?
No, I think, I wasn't there.
Huh?
I got the fact that Tracy and I weren't there, so it's good.
Make a motion to
It's
approve
definitely spelled wrong.
the minutes for October 14th as amended.
Second.
Made by Mike G, seconded by Ernie. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm abstaining. I was not present. And I would hope that she has her name spelled
Is it
correctly.
P-P-P?
Yes, no, that's how she spells it.
Okay. Picking up on my missing.
Okay.
Thank you.
October 28th.
October 28th. First item was 7:05. There's blank blank,
Colin here.
builder.
Colin here?
Yeah, it's
Who?
all Colin Air.
Colin Hare.
Yeah.
Colin Harris.
He's on the
Still around?
Water Sewer Committee.
I know. I haven't seen him in
He's
years.
young.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's good. Everything else looks good.
Wait a minute, was there another one here? Yeah. there was
By
another.
Jeremy something.
Yeah,
Additional-
H3, Jeremy Blank, first, second
Flansburgh?
sentence.
Flansburgh.
Burnsburg.
Yep. That can be a little tricky.
Want to go to 5 years.
Whiten Heights under additional business. Whiten needs an I, not an E.
Where's this?
Under additional business 757, Whiten Heights.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, okay. Good. You think that's all good?
Oh yeah, you got that one.
Cool.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a point.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as amended for
Me.
October 28th, 2021.
Second.
Motion made by Mike G, second by Les. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain, and Mike Z is gonna
No,
abstain.
I mullened it,
Oh, you
so
did?
I'm good.
Okay.
I can vote.
Okay.
Eighteen. 18, too new? Wait till next week?
I haven't seen those.
Yep, let's wait on those.
Yep, we're 7:16.
Cool. Oh, you
Jake,
want-
if you wanna, you have this continued hearing. Right, you guys opened that.
Which one?
I just have it in my packet for this.
Yes.
Okay.
We
Do you
did.
wanna,
Yeah, we'll continue.
Tim's
Wanna
online.
open that up?
Tim's online.
Too late.
I'm gonna do it online.
What did you decide on the last?
Now,
Tim?
going to the, back to the schedule.
Tim Nealon?
11:18?
Hi, good evening. We've already voted to release the 2 lots that you've requested, even the tardy one, number 21.
Oh, great.
And we appreciate you fixing the roadway in a timely fashion.
Oh, thank you. And we'd like to ask that the new bond be established per Matthew's recommendation and the engineers.
Not today.
Yeah, we haven't got to that.
That was not on the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't on the agenda, so we'll have to take it up on the 13th.
Okay, but in the meantime, the lots are released, so that's the.
Yeah, and then did we, yeah, so you passed this to Graves already?
very much.
The bond
Yep.
request? Okay. All right, thank you, have a good night.
Yep.
Okay. All right, yeah. Okay. You got this, Jake.
All right, time is 7:18, on the agenda for 7:15, public hearing continued. Darkstream LLC, application for site plan review, SPR-210923, 116 Davis Street, possible votes.
And for the record, I'm gonna recuse myself from this hearing. I'm gonna stay at the table.
Do you want to do a quick intro first, or you want to let the,
You know, normally I
Well,
would,
it's,
Mr. Chairman, but the applicant has produced a very good presentation. I got a chance to preview it yesterday, talked about some things with them. But I think it's very important that they kick this off.
all right.
Green Day or Foxfire?
Bloodstream.
Mr. Chairman,
Gentlemen.
members of the board, good evening. Just for the record, my name is Joe Casali. I'm a registered professional engineer in the Commonwealth. I hold offices at 300 Post Road in Warwick. With me is Brendan Ennis. He is an architect with ZDS, who will be here to answer questions if we have any programmatic or architectural plans. I also have on Zoom Bob Ferrari. Bob is also a registered professional engineer. He's a hydraulic engineer in terms of the wells, or the well, I should say, if there are any deeper questions there. And also Jerry Alber. Jerry is our mechanical engineer. As you'll see, this project is heavy with air exchangers and mechanicals. And so if I may, I would like to just like to give a quick presentation and then open it up to questions of you and members of the board, and we'll try to facilitate that through the 4
Yeah, I
professionals.
remember the last presentation you had, you presented that pretty smoothly. A lot of questions right from the get-go, so.
Please sit down, please. So, if I may, it's easiest if we just go to the PowerPoint. So, as we talked about, this is it's a manufacturing cultivation facility for marijuana. Dock Stream LLC is the corporate name, Davis Street, Douglas, Mass. So where we are in terms of the community, Northeast Main Street, Hartford Avenue West, 146, and then Route 16 in Davis Street, and specifically, Mr. Chairman, that's Assessors Plat 191, Lot 1. The site's about an acre and a half, a little bit shy. It's entirely in your industrial zoning district. Looking closer at the property, there already exists a 12,600 square foot, two-story steel frame commercial building. At one time, I understand it was an existing transmission shop and an auto repair shop. When we place the building envelope on, we know that there is an existing non-conforming condition. Specifically, it's about 7 feet, 7 inches from a front yard setback encroachment. So being an existing non-conforming condition, speaking with the community, when we appeared before zoning board, dimensional relief was not necessary. So the site does have an existing well today, does have an existing leach field, which I'll get into later, is going to have to be reconfigured based on some of our processes in the building. And there's also currently serviced by a above-ground propane tank, which when we went through, we've been in front of your TRC a couple of times. Fire chief asked us to protect them with bollards, easy enough to do. Part of the repurposing is going to be to remove that shed, this little outbuilding that you see to the northern side. But then ultimately, the purpose of this is to repurpose this existing building. From a floor plan, looking at, this is the first floor, all the delivery and our security will be in the entrance, which is really in our southeast corner. So this being the building, what I'm talking about here is right in that corner. That's delivery and security. We have obviously restrooms. This is more of the process here with the vegetation rooms, the flowering rooms. There's a trimming room as well as mechanical irrigation in our utility rooms. And then there's the office and storage area. Up top is a mezzanine that will be having other processes. We call this the mother room. That's where they keep one of the strands before it clones in the next facility. There's drying rooms, extraction, preparation, there's packaging. There's always a secure vault. At our expense, I know we're putting this up on the second floor, but it betters our program. And then there is a break room. From the outside of the facility, a lot of what you'll see is we're taking out a lot of windows and doors, such as these on the southeast side, and we want to match with that adjacent cladding. That overhead door is going to be replaced with a shutter door. That overhead door that you just saw there is going to be removed and replaced, as is that front window in the front and the vestibule. There will be a new egress door in the front, but really the main entrance, everything is going to be to the rear. That's the shed to be removed, and this is where more egress doors will be put in the rear of the building. So when we look at the site, in terms of parking, 10 spaces are required by your code. We're proposing 16. One of them is handicap accessible. We plan on 10 to 11 employees on the property, so we have some extra spaces there, should we need them in the future. In terms of impervious areas, you'll see that it's pretty much a wash. We went and cranked through the calculations. It's a small reduction, but ultimately, our basis of the design is to have this not to create impervious areas. So you can see our proposal here is to just crack fill and seal coat the existing pavement. There is a new area of bituminous pavement we're putting there for the handicap. We're putting a heavy-duty concrete slab for our storage area, but ultimately we'll be reducing the impervious areas by, from about 25,300 to 25,100, so a little less than 200 square feet. Snow storage removal area in the rear, and then ultimately that again is the delivery and the waste area. That is going to be a fenced-in, secured storage area. So it needs to be required by our regulations at the state level. And, part of our waste is when there is something that's waste, it has to be mixed with at least 50% of soil or something else to become unusable. The existing well is going to be repurposed. Bob does not have a presentation, but if there are questions, that's where I will lean on him. Fire protection is important with what we're proposing in terms of processing. So you'll see a small pump house and that red blotch that just came up. Those are twin 30,000-gallon cisterns, ultimately bringing fire protection into the building. We have a lot of, as I said, HVAC appurtenances, and that's where Jerry will be assisting me if there are questions. But there are things such as an air makeup unit. We have heat exchange pumps. We've got 22 condensing units, and then we understand we will be going through the health agent to make upgrades to that septic system. We don't expect a lot of waste from the employees, but it's going to be the waste and the specialized waste, whether we can dispose of it or have to take it off-site for the marijuana, for the cultivation and processing. Landscaping, we are not proposing landscaping. We see that the site is heavily landscaped. We do not plan on changing this. We are open to some if the municipality would suggest. But lastly, Mr. Chairman, just in terms of, again, we've been before the TRC, very helpful. A couple of times in March and in May of this year, we recently received our special permit for a non-exempt farm because we're less than 5 acres from the ZBA just in November. And we're here before you tonight because of the change of use in the industrial zone, greater than 500 square feet. We want to commence on our site plan review. We understand we have a long way to go with the health agent for the septic system, Mass DEP, and the health agent for our well, ultimately through the building department. So if there are questions, Reed or I, Bob, Jerry are all here to answer, Mr. Chairman.
Just through the chair, can you bring up your final diagram of the site? Just where's the general trash? Because sometimes you guys have like a lot of cardboard, you know what I mean? You didn't show that. You showed waste of the soils and stuff like that, but not.
Yeah, so, excuse me, all of our waste, whether it will need to be secured or not, is going to be within that, in that storage
Cage area.
area.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, not to separate. We will have separate containers for the waste that needs to be either tracked or destroyed versus the general office use in the manufacturing.
I got a question. Have you spoken to our economic development coordinator about a possible water sewer line extension heading that way?
I have spoken to Bob, I believe, but I know I'm not aware of the water sewer line extension, but that would be welcome.
Any comment on that, Bob?
When is it going to happen?
Come on up.
I know you just walked in the door, but
It's going to be, we just did the grant today for design and engineering. That's at least 2 years out.
okay. So, something to think about down the road.
Through the chair,
Yes.
your filterization systems and stuff, is there anything going to be constructed on the roof, or is everything staying ground level?
I'll let Reed answer that, but yeah, go ahead. It's well, ground.
It's all on the ground, right? There's some pads in the back that we're going to be putting all.
I think if it was Like new construction probably would have been rooftop units.
But you're going on existing buildings.
It
so that's
doesn't
what I was wondering.
support it.
Yeah, that roof ain't gonna hold it. We're not hanging them.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair,
Yes, Aaron.
all your grow is going to be inside?
Yep.
All of it?
That's right.
So high tunnels aren't going to pop out? High tunnel, greenhouses?
Oh, no.
Is the whole property being fenced, or it's not required because you're building?
We are not.
Okay. That's a question.
Chair again, lighting?
We're not proposing anything other than wall pack lighting just because, in and out, 10, 11 employees a day, couple visitors. They're-
All the lighting inside for the growing, is that all contained inside the building? I know like on 146, you go by the grow houses are there, they're like big domes that are lit up at night.
Yeah.
So is there anything like that going on, or?
Jerry, did you hear that question?
I didn't hear that question, no.
The question was interior lighting. Can you explain that, and if there'll be an effect, if we'll be able to see lights, say, from the roadway at night from the grow operations, not the ones external to the building?
Oh, from the actual vegetation rooms and flower rooms?
Yes, correct.
No, that's, these rooms are completely sealed. You actually can't have, for the purpose of the growing, you actually can't have any light from the outside in or vice versa. So the room will have no windows and all the vegetation are basically sealed airtight.
It's all controlled.
Thank you.
And lights is not permissible through.
Thanks, Jerry.
So, question through the chair. You talk about air intake and air outtake. So can you just walk us through, like, what's your air outtake plan and air intake plan?
Jerry, the question is, can you walk the board through air intake,
Yeah,
our air exchangers?
I did hear that. Yeah, the actual flower rooms, what we call flower vegetation, which is the majority of where all the growth is happening, there's absolutely no air in or out in those actual rooms. These rooms are sealed and they're controlled internally. We control the temperature through air handling units, and we also control odor inside the room via fans and filters with hot filtration, just to kind of control the air inside. Now, outside, in the common admin areas or workspace, if there's any odor, the only exhaust that we have coming out is from the locker rooms and toilet rooms. That's where we're exhausting, just to meet code requirement, which is a minimum amount of air that we're exhausting out. That air that we're exhausting, we're also filtering it before it goes out with charcoal filtration in order to eliminate odor.
Okay.
So that's really the only air going out of the building. The only other space that we have proposed is the kitchen, which has a hood that's only going to be used when there's any cooking happening. And that's basically just connected to a range. So those are the only two outs of the building.
We understand odor. It's always an issue. Dock Stream operates in grow facilities in Rhode Island, in cultivation as well. Respectfully well acclimated, understand charcoal filters are primary. We use it a lot too for septic systems and so forth and so on, to just change
We
the
actually have
chemical.
also UV lights inside the room to help with any bacterial growth and also odor control.
Okay. Cool.
Through the chair, I just got one. Where all your air handlers are, all your heat exchangers, everything on the one side of the building?
Yes.
I know at present, there's no abutters next to you, but someday there could be. So, those things, I know they are gonna make noise, no matter what. You're gonna have fans going, the whole 9 yards. What's your intent on putting maybe natural vegetation shielding around that area? I know right now, like I said, there's nobody next door. But as these areas grow up, there is gonna be somebody there. And I can't see the nuisance of having all those units running, creating a problem for other people to develop next to you.
I'm sure the applicant will agree, that is where our septic system is. We anticipate our system's going to get larger. If the community wants a live buffer in the form of trees, we'd be happy to do that. It may make more sense for sound and for buffering if we just put an opaque fence. Just a solid, as high as you'll allow, I assume it's 6 feet. We'll just do a solid opaque fence. You know, and we did not put them on the ground to mitigate the noise. We did it because of the structural sound.
Correct.
But that is a mitigating factor, is that the units will be on the ground.
You get 20 of them, right?
It's just something that...
22 of them.
22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be a few.
My next question.
I mean, they're doing one right now on 56.
Yeah.
It's huge. I mean, the whole side of the building is lined with units,
Yeah.
literally. And like I said, right now, there's no butters, but there will be. So something to look at now, and then not have an issue down the road.
Yeah,
you know?
normally, if I would say what the abutter wants, we would provide, but what
Whatever
the
you
community
guys
wants,
say.
I think a fence, if not vegetation,
Or a combination thereof, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might not work.
With something that would work right, you know?
Yeah.
Through the chair, one more question. Any solar proposed for the roof?
no, because of the structural, we don't have the structural integrity
I'm
of
not
that
saying you
roof.
couldn't in the future, I'm just asking at this point. You don't-
Yeah, no. We have done that in the past on other ventures, but not this one, and primarily because of,
What about ground level? Solar in the back?
I don't think we have much room left on the site.
Okay, cool.
Matt, anything with this?
Yeah, I had already spoken with the applicants yesterday about some of the things, and a lot of them have been talked about already here today. We talked about the ADA, van accessibility, the secure delivery area. Obviously, this site's going to be sprinklered, the secure trash. Any and all concerns from the police department regarding, you know, the vault or these security systems, they'll be vetted out or at least conditioned by us to ensure that that happens. It's all a requirement at the state level anyway.
Yep.
So,
If I can interject real quick.
Sure.
I know typically when something like this comes in, an email gets sent out to, say, the police chief, fire chief, highway, with their comments and concerns with it.
so they met with Tech Review twice before my hiring.
If we can just somehow get,
Yeah.
like, correspondence.
I
from that,
intended just to follow up.
Yeah, I'm
with
writing.
you. But one item we did do is we discussed yesterday, because we don't have a town engineer, of course, I have to do a small peer review. This doesn't have stormwater calculations because it's actually less impervious than what's there now. So I don't anticipate it's going to be a comprehensive review, and it should be back in time for the January meeting.
That's good. Thought signage? Any thought about it?
No, signage will be minimal because we don't
Right,
want
it's not-
to attract
Yeah, right,
people.
good. Yeah.
Discretion is paramount.
Right.
I think just the
EMA.
the number.
Yeah, right, we need
Street number.
to know,
Location.
but
That's it.
there'll be no big,
Yeah, no blinking light.
no.
The neon sign or the LED.
That's only a
Yeah.
down.
You planning on tearing up the driveway to repave it, to modify it all? What's your intent there? What's the goal?
We're gonna crack seal and overlay it.
Do you have a picture of the?
Yeah, we were going to, in terms of the driveway, I think I got a little ahead.
Like the entrance area and stuff like that?
Yeah, we wanted to mimic what was out there. So in terms,
Kind of see it in that picture.
yeah, so you see what's there today in terms of, that entrance in the way that it is, concrete, the pavement's in a little bit of rough shape. So we want to crack seal it, we want to overlay it. That area is going to be new. If you notice here, that area is not pavement today. But we need to do that so we can have the ADA accessible parking areas. But there'll be other areas as such in this corner and right there that we're going to remove some impervious areas so we can have a net reduction. And,
So during snow removal, you've got 5 parking spaces there. Would they not be 90 degrees to that, so you never reduce your amount of those 5 spaces in order to bring that snow up? I'd never plowed, so I don't, it seems like you would walk to the side.
yeah, I mean, someone's probably gonna come in and turn that blade and leave it along the side and just either push it forward or push it here. Most sites don't have the luxury, I think, of this site in some of the open areas.
What's the plans for, through the chair, what's the plans for the back of the building area where I think you've got, I don't know, trailers or something like that in there now?
We are leasing now this entire site from the existing owner, and I hope to keep this single use.
Okay, so, okay, all right. So you got room for there for that back area where it's dirt, if there was overflow of snow or whatever?
Yeah, we had talked to the chief about would he want access around the entire building, and it was just, even with the removal of that shed, it was because of the encumbrance of the septic system and the propane tanks. He was comfortable with having the access that he has there.
Good deal.
The other reason to the chair I brought up about the driveway is the radius and the width coming on to 16 there. Does anybody know how wide of an opening you got there?
What you see there is 24 feet, and I think that's what it is at the property line right there. That's a standard 24, and then I think it sort of meanders open. The right-of-way, because of the state height of 16, is very wide. You can see where the property line is. There's probably 10 or 15 feet of driveway before we actually get to the pavement, of 16.
Yeah, that's right.
But you're not bringing tractor-trailer trucks in there anyways?
No, not for deliveries. We
It's all
will get FedEx, UPS, box trucks, so forth, so on.
But you're going to have roll-offs, right? Are you going to use a roll-off, or it's going to be a pickup for your waste?
Yeah, for the waste, you'll have the you know, the 3-yard dumpsters that they'll put around. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience or online with any comments or questions with this project? Seeing as none. Cool. Board, any other questions?
Not right off the bat.
No, good.
I mean, there might be, but right now,
Motion?
So we'll be looking to get this off to peer review.
Set that up today.
And set it up for next meeting.
Yep.
So entertain a motion to,
I'll make a motion to continue Darkstream LLC, 116 Davis Street to our January 13th, 2022 meeting.
time?
7:15?
7:15?
7:15. Motion made by Les. Any second?
Second.
Second by Aaron. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Cool.
Have a nice holiday.
Appreciate your time, yeah.
See you in January.
Thank you. Stuff. Reducing the pavement, it's pretty good.
Mr. Chairman, would you happen to want a draft decision for that meeting?
If you think you can draft one out while they're here in the public hearing, that'd be actually good to have a draft ready to go and have them respond right away to it.
Yeah, share the draft.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, is that what?
Okay, board, are we ready to move on to the next item?
Yeah.
Okay. 7:30 PM public hearing, BV Logistics, Scannell Properties, application for site plan review, application for earth removal permit off of Wacky Dam Road, possible votes. 7:44.
All right, I want to point out the Blackstone Valley BV Logistics.
Yeah, and the dam road too.
Damn road.
Oh, that's a good one. How did I not see that?
So the Town of Douglas Planning Board, legal notice of public hearing, name of applicant, Scannell Properties, number 543 LLC, name of owner, Scannell Properties, number 543 LLC, date and time of public hearing, Thursday, December 9th at 7:30 PM. Subject matter of the hearing, applicant is requesting a site plan review from the Douglas Planning Board pursuant to the Douglas zoning bylaws, section 9.4. And the applicant is requesting an earth removal special permit from the Douglas Planning Board pursuant to the Douglas zoning bylaws, section 6.1 and 9.3. The project consists of the construction and operation of a warehouse building located off of Lackey Dam Road within Sutton, Uxbridge, and Douglas, and removing approximately 25,000 cubic yards from the site. Off Lackey Dam Road is the project site. Assessors map 114, parcels 3, 4, 5, and 6. Place of public hearing, Douglas Municipal Center, Resource Room 29, Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. Any person interested or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. Visit douglas-ma.gov for the agenda and Zoom information. A copy of the application is available for review during regular business hours in the Douglas Community Development Department, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. 01516. Okay.
I might just set this up so we can try to get it done officially. Thanks so
Real
much.
quick.
I'm Mark Donahue from
I'm
Fletcher
sorry.
Tilton.
I apologize, real quick. Do you guys typically do a motion to open or just call to open?
Call the open.
Thank you.
The hearing's open.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Mark Donahue from Fletcher Tilton. Good to see you all in person, opposed to on Zoom as we did for the beginning part of the year.
Yeah.
So the project is well known to you. We went through the special permit process earlier this year. We've got some amendments to the plan, basically driven by three factors: a review kind of, and getting some recent information as far as market conditions. The general contractor's been engaged. They usually come in and have some suggestions for changes to a plan in some fashion. And we have to accommodate National Grid, some requirements of National Grid. The biggest issue is the building is shrinking a little bit, but with your permission, I'll have Dan Feeney walk you through the plan and the specific changes so you can understand them.
Yeah, so just to clarify, it's not a full-blown site plan review, it's a modification to the existing decision.
Correct.
So for anyone in the audience or watching, we're not redoing this. It's not a redo.
Gonna start all over?
It's a modification.
That's a motion, I'll second.
Yeah, right. So, yes, we'll just take a look at just the revisions. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Dan Feeney from Bales & Thomas. I'm a professional engineer for the project. So just as a quick recap, the portion of the project in Douglas is sort of at the southwest side of the site. I'll go through all of the changes that have been made just so it's one project. You have appreciation for what the changes are. But I'll just note what things are in Douglas as I go through. We did add approximately 20 more parking spaces, employee parking spaces out in the front of the building. That's in Uxbridge, but that gets us up to 200 total parking spaces now. Again, as Mark mentioned, that's just a market condition thing where having a few extra parking spaces is beneficial to attract a tenant. The biggest change is a reduction in the building. That's the area shown here in the orangish color. Approximately 40,000 square foot reduction, a little under 40,000 square foot reduction. And that was to accommodate a separate loop roadway that's going to come in. So basically, the trailer parking came in, the loading dock area came in with the reduction of the building, so that the ultimate limit of development impervious area stayed the same along the western side. So it's basically just flipping out, a 35-foot section of the building for an access drive in there. So that will allow trucks that are using the western loading docks to be able to come into the site, to be able to come that way rather than having to loop around the whole building. So that's the largest change that was made to the site plans. As Mark noted, the curb line over near the National Grid easement, the extents of it coming into our site come down like that. There are 3 transmission poles in this area. They weren't comfortable with how close we were to the nearest transmission pole, so they wanted a minimum of a 25-foot offset to that transmission pole. So we pulled in the curb line in that location. and the truck loading dock spaces in that area will be for box trucks to allow for appropriate turning movements in and out of those spaces. The emergency access drive got realigned a little bit. Again, that was if they ever wanted to put in poles in the future. Right at Lackey Dam Road, they usually like to have poles near the public right-of-way on both sides, so there are some poles on this side of Lackey Dam Road. So it was just to align that roadway, so it would be in between where the lines are moved, like 2 or 3 feet, and it did get reduced in width from 24 to 20 feet, which is, per fire code regulations to have a 20-foot wide access. And the last change really was just a change to the outlet down here for infiltration basin jigs in Uxbridge. But MassDOT just commented, this wetland drainage swale here takes a lot of the drainage flow from Route 146. They wanted to have a greater separation from stormwater flow, separate swale coming around that, and just discharging right near that outlet. So we've made that change as well. One change that didn't make it onto the plans, but we've coordinated with Sutton and Uxbridge. We had those hearings earlier this week for the amendments. The sound wall is going to be modified, just the material, so the heights and the location and the performance of the sound wall is the same, but rather than being a vinyl sound wall, it will be aluminum. So we just wanted to present that. Again, there's no sound wall in Douglas, as it abuts Route 146. But where there is a sound wall, it will just be an aluminum material. So those were the major changes to the site plan. As Mark mentioned, we're also here tonight for earth removal. When we originally permitted this, we didn't have all the information we would need to provide on the earth removal, just in terms of where the earth is going to go and exactly how much it would be. So we did submit an earth removal permit as well to the town of Douglas. We provided the volume that is being removed from the site from the entire project, because it's a little hard to estimate what's going to stay on site versus what comes off. It's sort of, where the contract is working. So it's a total of 25,000 cubic yards of material anticipated in topsoil. The topsoil that exists on site, there's only so much opportunity to use it. You can't use it under the pavement areas and building areas, obviously, and even in the basins, because they're heavy infiltration basins, we get more restrictive permeability rates of the topsoil. So that's the proposed amount. In terms of the location it would go, the site work contractor has a yard down in Rhode Island, so the route would be to go from the site southwest down to 146, take 146 south to 295, down to Prince Johnson, Rhode Island. So that's the planned route for the removal of the topsoil.
Any waivers requested for earth removal?
No, there was
permit?
There was no waivers.
Okay. And then you're not asking for any additional waivers for the modification either?
No new waivers requested.
Through the chair. What brought up having the Sixter driveway going all the way around the roadway? Why did that all come about?
The
whole extra road, yeah.
It was actually an alternative that we showed on the original site plans we submitted.
Yeah.
It just provides for greater flexibility. If this did become a multi-tenanted building, so there was,
allow access to the rears
and a tenant on another, it just allows, for different accesses. So it's the client, developers can now working with their brokers. Thought it's beneficial, even though it comes at the expense of some of the building square footage.
Yeah.
It was worth it to put that extra access in there.
So it's kind of there, then taken away, and now it's coming back.
Yeah,
Kind of,
it was one of those things when we were going through the original permitting, it was considered.
Yeah.
If you recall, the parking to the rear here is designated as tractor trailer parking, but it can be used if if there was a need for employee parking. If there was, again, a situation where there was going to be an office space on the northern side of the building.
Now, on that map, that snow removal station still there?
Yeah, it's in the back.
The back?
Yes, it's still snow removal.
No, no, no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
From off the trucks.
What's
Was that the rear of the building?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, yes. Back-
Yeah, that square pad, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
So in our packet, oh, yeah, sure.
Monitoring with the earth, you've done any groundwater studies, where the groundwater level is, so that you're not getting within 10 feet of it?
Oh, yeah.
Depth to groundwater?
Yeah, so there was a geotechnical report that was done initially, back before the original plans were submitted. And it's deep groundwater throughout the site. You know, it's basically at the elevation consistent with Lackey Pond across Lackey Dam Road. It's really deep. There is a couple of areas where there's veins of groundwater. You know, there's a lot of groundwater influence, groundwater coming in through some of the existing low areas of the site. So there is some areas where there is excavation within 10 feet of the groundwater.
Within 10 feet?
It is within limited areas in the site. Not the vast majority of the site, the groundwater is down at around 310, 312. The building's up at 359. Basins are at 340 something, 326.
Six, yeah.
This one, so you guys.
It's worth noting that the issue was, when we went through the original permitting, a belief that we might be able to keep all the material on site in some fashion. That, you know, when you get a contractor involved, usually the contractor tells you at some point, you know, your dreams are gone.
Well, the quality.
Some of it out.
Yeah.
But I guess my point is, it doesn't change any of the design of the building that was originally reviewed, you'll recall, by Graves Engineering for peer review.
Yep.
They've done a subsequent review, we submitted the amendment to them, they've submitted a letter to that effect, that they reviewed it and don't have any particular comments. So it's still more intrusive than when we started the entire process.
Yeah, I mean, the change to the design of the building is no problem, just you do an earth removal now.
Yeah. And our bylaw requires 10-foot separation
You have to stay at 10 feet.
and monitoring wells.
Yeah, so I guess there's no.
Oh, it's inside.
Sutton, it's in Sutton when you're low, right? You're in the back of the building, which is in the Sutton area. in the
Yeah.
forest area.
Yeah, so the groundwater, where we're really seeing some elevated groundwater is down in here, right? Is where it's sort of.
On Sutton side.
At Uxbridge.
No, that's
I mean,
actually-
Uxbridge?
That's actually Uxbridge.
Oh, okay.
It's outside of-
It's really, we're filling in most of those areas. It's just when you're scraping off the topsoil,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta get rid of the top and sub to then build up, right? You can't leave top and sub underneath the building, so it's actually fill that we're doing, but the groundwater issue is down in here.
In the Virginia ground.
So we can condition for, you have some monitoring wells? You have some monitoring wells on the site? So any areas associated with that earth removal, we need to maintain our 10-foot separation from high groundwater in monitoring wells. And we can put that as a condition of the earth removal permit.
Well, I guess maybe we have to drill down a little bit. I think what Mr. Feeney's referring to is that the excavation that's within the 10 feet that occurs isn't necessary material leaving the site, so it isn't subject to earth removal. It's the topsoil alone that's being basically scraped off to free up that area, which is then excavated to bring in fill that's appropriate to build it all up. So, you know, that trade of it essentially isn't really applicable to your bylaw in some fashion, because it's not the act of removal. The topsoil is essentially the top core of the site.
It's still a removal though. I understand where you're going, to the chair, which is true. You're removing garbage to put in fill to make it buildable. But for earth removal, it's in our bylaw, then you have to ask for an exception on that, or how would that work?
Would it just be easier to request a waiver, understanding, you know, the situation that we're not
If you can clearly,
excavating
yeah.
down to groundwater?
If you can clarify, yeah, I mean, I would allow you to handwrite a waiver request. for the board to vote on.
Place where that's being done, earth removal, that there's test walls. So
Do you have a page in, so you guys have the detention basin pages, but do you have the results for groundwater anywhere on these, the test pits?
Not, excuse me, not on the plans. This is within the geotechnical report. So I'm trying to remember back, they did them all along.
There.
Edge of the building there.
Edge of the building, which is in Douglas, okay.
So let me just see.
I'd be okay with a waiver because I know
Yeah,
what they're,
I mean-
I know what they're proposing because what it is, they're,
But we just need to be careful and consistent.
Right, and that's the whole problem to the chair is, totally understand what's trying to be done, but it's also a CYA.
And
We
today's,
specifically asked to have a monitoring well so that we know.
yeah, and
What is
today it's
really
saying
going
that,
on?
but when somebody finds a vein of gravel,
Correct.
things kind of change, and if we don't have it clear in the
Then it
decision,
opens up trouble.
then we don't have anything to hang our hat on for enforcement.
And that's why.
well, yeah,
Now, on the original plan where there was no request for earth removal, the discussion never really came up that deeply because it was all staying there.
Deeply, yeah.
But now that they're requesting the earth removal, it changes it.
Can I put a layman's, I'm not a geotechnical guy, but you have a building that's 650,000 square feet is at one particular elevation. The site undulates like any site. The bigger the site, the bigger the building, you're going to have greater differences in elevations along there, and you're going to have the veining, and it seems like it's a can't-win thing, because, you know, how do you, what do you do in one area? Just, you know, build up the, have steps in there to create the
No.
distance between, I mean, I'm not getting it. I know you want to be 10 feet from the groundwater, but
the finish will be.
We have a caveat in there, if it is removal for approved building purposes, it's a different, it's excluded. You do not need an earth removal permit, meaning a
I'm not saying
permitted
you don't
building. I'm not necessarily concerned about the area where the building is. I'm more concerned about the other.
So, yeah, I mean,
Area.
to the point of the building, you have a 600,000+ square foot building supported by loading docks and loading areas. That has to be at the elevation that the building's at, effectively 4 feet lower than the loading dock. So it's all part of the construction. I know a lot of times when you're doing an earth moving permit, it's because you're removing earth from the site commercially. It's part of a commercial type thing, and that's what this site used to be. This is incidental to the site work. We can't make the site any higher. You know, already you can see the grades coming straight up to get to the building. We've made the building as high as we can to balance the site and to make it work at all. You know, we've got, you know, cuts and fills that balance out. So like half the building's in a cut, half the building's in a fill. We've got deep groundwater out here in general, but there are some areas that, you know, water gets trapped and it runs along a vein and then it eventually gets to the wetlands or gets, you know, further down. So everything is incidental to the building and site construction. So if it's the easiest way to request a waiver, you know,
Matt, do you want to read us something from the bylaw?
Yeah, sure. Before I do have one question.
Sure.
Have the towns of Uxbridge or Sutton asked you to install monitoring wells for any of this?
They have not.
Okay.
They both, earlier this week, Sutton actually issued an exemption from the earth removal bylaw because it's a minor amount, and again, it's incidental to the construction of the site. And Uxbridge issued the earth removal permit.
Okay, I appreciate that. And Douglas being the smallest portion of this plan, I kind of...
But the most important.
Most important in this room,
For
I
us.
suppose.
Yeah, for us.
The deal with this particular 10-feet thing is that this is one of the conditions that the board may impose on a permit. The board does not have to impose that condition on the permit. You'd still be consistent with your regulations because you don't have to impose any of the 15 conditions that are listed here unless the board feels it's necessary. Just in my opinion, to be consistent with the other towns involved with the project, I would recommend that we do not include that condition.
Okay. So just not include it versus requesting the applicant to submit a waiver and
Yeah,
voting on the waiver?
I don't think it reads like a waiver. I think it's something we either condition or we don't. That's the way I'm seeing it.
There weren't any, through the chair, there weren't any earth removal requests for Uxbridge or Sutton, were there?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, both of them were already approved.
Earth removal is governed in all three communities. It has a different procedural path.
I remember it was on our original, and then you took that part of it off.
Right.
So It's coming in.
It's a required permit in Uxbridge, which was issued last evening. And Sutton, the path was to exempt it because it's a...
Right.
Given the magnitude of the site and the magnitude of the work,
Right.
25,000 yards of topsoil is, given how many yards are being moved on the site, is pretty strong.
Like, Mike, I understand what you're doing. It's just that in our bylaw, it requires that we monitor anything that's going to be.
I don't read the bylaw as a requirement. I tend to...
Don't be, if there's a way to do
But
that,
if-
that's fine, but
So in the earth removal permit, Matt's suggesting to not condition it with those, with the monitoring well and the 10-foot separation
Right, just to be-
condition.
We should acknowledge it, but we don't have to act on it.
right, I just wanted, whatever we have to do to,
Historically, we have held
we have to do something.
that.
There has to be a paper trail why we
Yes.
allowed it to happen.
Yes, in this instance.
Through the chair, I could see where historically we may have done that, but I don't believe we historically had any properties that spanned 3 towns. And I think to be consistent with those other communities, that's my recommendation.
Whether it spans 3 towns or not, I don't care. It affects the town of Douglas.
I understand that.
I understand where you're coming from, but we're looking at also what we've always done
Sure.
on any earth removal, just
I
saying.
understand. I just
And I
believe,
understand your point. I'm just letting you know, that's why it's being aired out.
I understand.
And I think also approved building purposes, I think the earth removal is not going to start unless you have a building permit, right?
Yeah, there's been no earth removed from the site. They're moving it around.
Yep, that's okay.
Not removing it from the site as of yet. But I think they do want to start removing it once these permits are issued. Now that they have their approvals in Sutton and Uxbridge, they know they can remove that material. But that's the-
What was Sutton's exemption that they granted?
I believe it was because the small amount of material as well as that it's incidental to the construction of a site. It's not-
Okay. So they waived that requirement for filing?
No, we filed.
Oh. They just didn't issue a permit?
They made a determination that it was, that it essentially was, much like you have the exemption related to a building permit, that this was related to the building permit.
Yeah, I would more lean towards that. If the building permit's issued and the top and the sub need to come off, then
It's built in.
I mean,
Permit
through the
related.
chair, like, I agree. I mean, they're taking dirt off and bringing dirt in. It's not that big of a deal, but I just wanted on the record of how we know, like,
Yeah,
how it's not set up. I mean, we've gone...
review all projects the same way.
It's all gone through COMCON, everything there is to 3 towns. Want to see it moving forward and not being hung up. But just let it be known on earth removal.
do a paper trail and documentation.
Move forward.
Whatever you have to write.
In the meeting minutes and
Yeah.
as far as the decision goes,
Sure,
that there was a discussion and it was,
sure.
this is how the board viewed it. Yeah, the determination.
Related.
Okay, are you done for their presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone in the audience have any questions, concerns regarding this application? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close.
So moved.
Motion's made by Jake to close the public hearing
Second.
for both earth removal and modification to the site plan review decision. And motion's made by Jake, second by Les. All those in favor?
Sorry, what was the motion?
To close the hearing
To close the public hearing?
for both.
Earth removal and the modification.
Okay, all right.
As long as the applicant feels comfortable to close, but I think, as far as the decision you're wondering,
Yeah.
the drafting the decision.
Yeah, okay, all right.
We're glad to answer any open questions. If there's any question as to how the will of the board is on this issue of monitoring, we'd like to resolve while we get a chance to participate in the discussion. So what I understand is, from the discussion, correct me if I'm wrong, the narrative of the decision on the earth removal special permit will note that there was a discussion relative to the need of monitoring wells consistent with your practice, but the board determined that in this particular case, it wasn't required, either given the magnitude of the site or other reasons. Is that?
Yes.
Correct. Building permit, they did.
Want to make
Yes.
sure they get public policy review.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. If there's any other concerns of any board member with regard to approval of either, we'd be glad to try to answer those concerns before you close.
You okay with that?
Yeah, I think I'm okay with it. I mean, we can't just go saying, okay, well, for a specific site, this regulation doesn't have to be met, you know, I mean.
Yeah.
I think we had a determination from town council about approved building purposes and removal incidental to those. I believe we had a determination a while back on that.
And it's not like they're keeping it like 4 feet, you know, what I mean, they're digging down, there's only gonna be 6 feet separation between the finished ground and the groundwater table. They're actually bringing it back in for the building.
And we're going to be reporting volumes out of Douglas, or how are we going to be doing that?
We're reporting the entire site.
Okay.
Yeah, the 25,000 cubic yards is the entire site.
Site.
And you're-
Because some of the topsoil will be reused on the
Yeah.
site. You know,
So you'll be reporting the entire amount of removal to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Go for it.
Some hesitation, but hopefully the wording will
Yeah.
suffice. We'll make sure maybe you want to have town council just take a peek at that specific section.
Sure.
We'd be glad to try to assist if we can.
Okay.
Do we want to keep the hearing open in case there is some kind of
Yeah, I mean,
language that
We don't,
wants to be
we don't know the wording yet, we don't know the documentation yet. Closing the public hearing, I mean, once you close the public hearing, no further information comes in, so.
Well, we have a time frame to issue the decision.
We have a month.
So, yeah, so statutorily, like the special permit, we have time to prepare the decision,
90
review it with the
The
applicant.
And get it
Yeah,
signed. And they wanna get the dirt off.
so that's, I mean, only one time we ran into an issue with the applicant not receiving the decision before it was punched in at the town clerk.
Okay, go for it.
I mean, it can take a consensus if anyone else has some hesitation to close this hearing.
Well, I'm also thinking if the decision's ready because of the holidays and stuff like that, if you can sign it, you know what I mean, so they're not gonna lose any time over the break, because we don't come
Well,
back.
I don't know if we're gonna whip it up
We'll try to get
in
the
a week.
We'll try to get it
But-
as soon
No,
as
because
possible.
Yeah,
they're trying
I
to keep
mean,
going the project.
So one
Why
question
don't
I
we-
have is, you know, to the extent that the contractor is stripping loam in Sutton and Uxbridge, that could be removed from the site prior to Douglas formalizing their decision. right?
Yeah, our next meeting's not till January 13th.
'Cause I do know that they are, you know, anxious to be able to remove it, otherwise they have to work around it.
We can work around it.
all right, so let's, there's a motion on the table to close the public hearing. Jake's made the motion, Les has seconded that. All those in favor? Okay. And I'll entertain a motion to grant the modification and earth removal special permit.
So moved.
Motion made by Mike Z,
Second.
seconded by Aaron. All those in favor?
One discussion item.
Hold.
Just to maintain conditions from previous approval to remain in full effect.
Okay, friendly modification to Mike Z. For the modification of the special permit, keep
plan.
all waivers will stay the same. And conditions from the previous
From the
decision.
Right.
Previous decision, yeah.
All we're affecting is what has been presented to us this evening. That's it.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, so.
friendly amendment, and then Aaron, you're seconding that? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good one, you guys. Good luck.
Yep.
And get the decision hopefully drafted, and if it's available ahead of the January 13th meeting, I'll invite members to town hall to sign.
Yeah,
If you would.
yeah, just because I know that they want to, these sites want to keep going around the clock.
Okay.
It's amazing how quick they want to go and
Oh, yeah, when they want to go, they go.
build.
I mean, you saw that in Uxbridge. Okay.
Skiing.
Not this year.
Evil Knievel.
As actually scheduled, they lost the kid to take him home.
They lost the kid.
I was in hospital.
Nobody wants to work.
Okay, board, are we ready? Okay, 7:45 PM, public hearing continued. Cooperstown Road Realty Trust, application for a special permit and a definitive subdivision residential compound, Hawk Hill Farms, 768 and 772 Northwest Main Street. And time's now 8:16. Name and address, please.
My name is Jude Garvin. I work for Andrews, used to work for Andrews. I work for OHI now. I'm going to get to the finish line on this project. We've had some meetings since the last time we were here. And we've had discussions with the abutter. We've had discussions with the fire department, and we've had discussions with the staff. And I think the one thing that we're working out with the fire department is between 10% and 12% for the fire department, amongst 10%. And we're asking for 12% because of the cost of construction. So that's still kind of going back and forth right now. We had talks with the abutter about the road being so close, so the granting of the waiver. We came to an agreement on some of the stuff. We came to an agreement on a vegetative buffer, 6-foot-high vegetative buffer with arborvitae. At the meeting on site, the abutter had asked for us to put into, or the Schlesmans to put into writing that we won't further develop the property and we won't put 5 duplexes up. The Schlesmans are a little hesitant to do that because your bylaw prohibits those specific things anyways. So we're kind of at a stalemate with the abutter and what wording he would like to see for him to grant the waiver, and speak in a minute too, versus what the planning board allows anyways. So we, it's not zoned for duplexes, and it says right in the bylaw for the flexible or residential compounds that you can get one shot and you can't do anything.
Through the chair, can you review the project again? It's very,
Yeah, why don't you give us a summary of the issues from last meeting?
Well, from the last meeting, there was 3. It was the connection to a landlocked parcel. It was the grade of the road and fire chief's acceptance. We've got him, the fire chief, nodding his head on everything except the slope of the road. There's still debate on that. And the third thing that we left off with was the abutter and the granting of the waiver from the right-of-way being 30 feet, within 30 feet of the road. And the reason for that is it's an existing driveway that we're trying to widen and improve and not realign and move over because it's ledge and other costs associated with doing that. Drainage has been all set. It's been reviewed by grades. Not putting it across the street anymore. It's coming onto our property. It's going under the road. So those are the 3 things that we really have.
Okay.
And based on the meeting we had with Matt the other day, we were almost going to continue this, but I wanted to come to the meeting, update you with where we are with everything, and hopefully we're at the finish line for some sort of a decision. And if you guys have anything else that you want to talk about or discuss, and that's kind of why I'm here, to iron everything out so that we can close this up.
Okay, so Matt, can you just brief the board any other issues that they're not meeting the bylaw?
Sure. No, it was just that extension of the right-of-way, and I know the board had asked for that at a previous meeting. But as a residential compound goes, that is not a requirement of the residential compound bylaw, although it is a requirement of the standard definitive subdivision. It's not part of residential compound, and the reason for that is because common private way for a residential compound shall not be extended, and therefore having the extension of the right-of-way would almost invite an extension of the project. So I don't recommend an extension of the right-of-way for that reason, because this project cannot be extended anyway.
So that 50-foot right away, that 50-foot right away to the landlocked.
Yeah, that's in
it's not
subdivision
required.
control law.
Yeah. Standard
Close.
definitive subdivision, yes. The residential compound, no.
Okay, good to know. I wasn't sure if it was, I wasn't sure if it was a state law or anything like that.
No, it's in our regular subdivision rules and regulations.
There's
Section.
negotiation, through the chair, there's negotiation where when you come in for a project like this, you ask for certain things, we grant certain things. So there's a give and take. So if you're going to ask for something from the planning board, and the planning board is asking something from the developer, well, that should be worked out. It's because it's not specifically required in our regulations. If you're asking for any development, if you're asking something from the planning board, and you want a waiver for this and that, then there's certain things that the planning board wants in return for granting those waivers. And that's part of the negotiation of this process.
I understand. May I?
Yeah, if I could just say, so this is going to be a common private way in perpetuity. So what would be the purpose of an easement?
Because it's a landlocked piece of land.
With the easement is associated with public right-of-ways for future development. So if they're keeping the rights to the easement, no one would be able to use it anyway.
I just think in good faith, with us granting certain things to them, they should grant certain things that we ask for too. And unlocking a piece of landlocked land is a big issue for me.
Yeah, just to the chair, I know Ernie's view, because landlocked parcels is just challenging, but again, this project doesn't fall underneath the subdivision control. It's more of a, a residential compound.
So typically, we have the extension of the subdivision roadway, and then that gets deeded to the town of Douglas.
Correct.
For additional access. So what are you suggesting that this easement go to? Who has rights to the easement?
If you're cutting out parcels of land for building lots, somewhere on one of those parcels, you can allow an easement to a piece of property that's landlocked. It would be in the deed, and the people that own that piece of the landlocked would have access to it finally, rather than not having access, and not being allowed to get to their property.
Just through the chair, I think, Ernie, the big separation here is that the access point coming off of Northwest Main shall maintain, it's a private way forever. So it's creating a private way off of another private way, you know what I mean? So it's going to be up to it's not going to be town-owned, so it's not like an extension.
But you can still have an easement on private way or anybody's property.
Agree. I see your side.
From the town to develop this piece of property.
I understand your side, yeah. I just think it's...
And then may I also add, you referenced the fire chief wanting 10%, no greater than, but then you keep saying it's to be negotiated. Does it want 10%? Are you going to grant him 10%? I don't know. I mean, we respect our fires and police chiefs, and I think if he demands 10%, he should get 10%. I don't know, just my opinion.
I mean, like you said, he wasn't even going to come in tonight, but he thought he'd come in and give us an update on what's going on, so we're responding to what your update is. Yeah, I don't expect anything to be closed or decided tonight. No.
And when you're a developer, on this side of the board, I don't care if it costs you more. You want to do a project, don't say, well, it's going to cost us more money to go to 10% versus 12. Well, that's the cost of being a developer, and it's...
And we're utilizing what's existing there and trying to make it fit, reverse engineering this, where it's not quite, the puzzle isn't quite fitting with those grades.
Right.
Just through the chair, I think you're addressing some of the things with the abutter, which I think is in good faith with the vegetation and stuff like that.
Yeah, my opinion is, what's the harm of putting it in writing if our the decision is already going to prevent it? Okay. Once we, yeah.
Yeah.
And what's been resolved with the butters?
They're getting there, they're working on it.
Yeah. I think Jude, what you could do is just in accordance to the bylaws that are currently there. It doesn't allow it, it would be unsafe.
Yeah.
And we don't allow single family, and, you know what I mean, or multifamily or additional development because it's a one-time shot, exactly, unless that changes 20 years from now. And we don't have control of that. So as it stands right now, to your point.
Should we try to hammer out this easement
I
thing
think that's
here tonight?
I think that's the Selectmen's hesitation to put it into writing, because 30 years from now, the bylaw could change for some reason, I guess.
Your decision's not going to change, that you record at the registry of deeds.
Yeah, I would just say as it, you know, as it pertains now. Who knows what happens in the future?
If I can, through the chair, because originally 20-something years ago, this was set up as 2 houses. That was it. Here we are 20-something years later, now we're re-examining an entire whole different thing. And now it's a time where they want to change stuff all around from the original setup. I think it's time to look at all of it with all the butters and everybody involved. I think there was agreements made 20 years ago because the intent was what it is right now. We're moving far away from that original intent. This is a whole different can of worms. And it's one of those deals where I'm still on the fence on a lot of it. I mean, I drive by it every day, and there's a single tree between that driveway and that neighbor's house. That's it. I mean, 7 feet, I know it's on the surveyor's map, but when you look at it driving by, it looks a lot less than 7 feet, but it is what it is. But there's nothing there, and it's supposed to be 30, so.
Right, so that part, we agreed to the screening.
Somewhat.
Part.
Somewhat, right.
Not somewhat, we agreed to the screening part, we didn't agree, they're not agreeing to the other things that are already part of the decision.
Okay. I mean, the water you're taking care of, which I totally appreciate, that was a big deal. As you all know, that was a mess. It's just going back to, and I understand there's good and or bad about it, but I agree with Ernie on landlocked land. I don't agree with locking land where you have people paying property taxes.
Let me say, through the chair,
So-
it is the opportunity, and this is what you said, is that there's a give and take here. And to fix some bills, right, Mike? This is what you're talking about, this is what Ernie's talking about.
Fix problems.
From years ago, right?
But the give and take here, we're asking for one waiver on this project. And I don't support it either way, but we're asking for one waiver, and that waiver is for the road being too close to the property. So the give and take is that we're providing trees, not to be,
I'm not talking about
take
that.
a whole other
I'm talking about the
situation.
landlock, and I'm talking about the
That's what I
roadway.
mean.
the
But we're not
roadway.
asking for a reduction in landlocked land. We're not asking for a roadway. We're going to do the roadway.
So
for
Mike is
fire
wrong,
department.
and Ernie's wrong, and I'm wrong.
Well, you're saying it's a give and take.
Well, we're asking for a give and take, because you're here before the board for something.
Okay.
I think we gotta reel this back.
Yeah, sorry. So if you can go through the chair first, Lee, both of you. And so what I'm hearing from the presenter is we have the 3 issues. There are going to be no additional issues after this meeting. So we've got Graves from November 17th, and you've seen that, right, Jude?
Yes.
And there was one other thing, the electric overhead utilities. Did you guys already review this? Did you guys review this while I was gone? By any chance? I was here, no, we didn't, because I was
No,
here
I
on the
think it came in late.
18th. No, I was here on the 18th, this was continued. So did we go through the peer review?
There should be a second letter from him saying, understood. There's a second.
Is it 7? Yeah, so I have October 27th, 2021, then you guys November 12th, and then this one's November 17th, acknowledged, you're saying? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The overhead, he might have said defer to the board or something like that, but we put a note because they're existing overhead now.
Yep, so,
Put a note that the existing utilities shall be used.
right, so there's a couple defer to the planning board, but that one specifically, oh yeah, it says GEI defers to the planning board whether use of the existing overhead electric in lieu of underground electric is acceptable. So is that a condition in the residential compound?
That's in the subdivision regs. It's
Oh.
not specifically in the residential.
Right.
And it's a private way, so I don't think it would.
The board
When
could
was that?
consider either, and you could waive any piece of the regulation, so.
Right, okay.
I think underground would make sense for the still.
Okay, so as long as the board is on board with that one. Okay. I think that the applicant needs to supply something to us with the justification either way for that easement piece in writing. That's still, it seems to be a sticking point. And if you're gonna hand me something legal, right at the moment, we're gonna have town council review it, and we're not gonna.
Email string.
Okay.
That'd be agreed.
Okay, the buffer? Oh, okay. And then the buffer situation in writing, something for the file. And I'll take that in.
And what about the road grade? Has it really been hammered all out with the chief? 12%, 10%?
10.
What
10%.
was, is the chief giving his blessing at 12?
No, I think so. He wants 10.
So I think that's a separate,
Yes.
as long as at the next meeting, we have approval from the chief, whatever he's requesting. The board is going to be in agreement with that.
Yeah, with what he wants.
Yes.
The chief has asked for 10%, and he did not want to waiver on that. So
Right.
the applicant is trying to decide whether or not to adjust the plans to 10%, whether or not they can economically, that is between them prior to appearing at the next meeting.
Right.
Meg, did you want this as part of the record?
Yes, please.
Okay, it's not signed either, so. I have an email submitted from Megan to Ron Anderson, December 8th, 2021. An email string and text messages. So for me, I'd like to see an agreement signed by the abutter. So,
I'm not sure if he's going to do it.
So I just want to
Yes.
tackle the two items that you had discussed, sorry, through the chair to the engineer. The two items you mentioned were the project should not be extended, and what was the other one? The two items you have an impasse with the neighbor.
duplexes.
Duplexes, right? Yeah, so regardless, if there's a decision rendered on this project and it's not addressed as a waiver, it would not be allowed. Plain and simple, all right? And it shall not be extended. The duplexes are not allowed per zoning, and I'm saying that on the record right now as a town employee, that duplexes are not part of this development, its proposal, or even allowed in this zone. So if that can serve as record, I don't mind saying that. If that helps make the decision on behalf of the abutting landowner. If the board wanted to grant the waiver for that, that would be reflected in the decision, but I don't believe that's the direction that the board is going.
Thank you.
And one other thing, just to tackle that easement again, because I
Yeah.
believe we should hammer that out tonight.
Okay.
So part of, and I fully understand where Ernie's coming from with this. I do. And especially for a definitive subdivision, that extension of that easement, as you mentioned, must be town-owned in order for us to have any control over it at all. Whether we render a decision about this easement, and if it's not in town control, anyone could change it later to the dominant or the servient tenant through an agreement, and we'd have no control over that. So if we're granting a private easement, or trying to grant a private easement to the landlocked landowner over private property, and it's not under the town's name, we won't be able to control that. We can't condition it as such. The only way we can do that is if it is a town-owned easement. Okay, so I understand what we're trying to do here, but off of a private way, I don't see how we can.
So that would be a private.
Or if the parcel was deeded to the land.
Under subdivision.
If the parcel was
public way.
deeded to the landlocked owner
If I
and
could,
not an easement.
through the chair. Last meeting, did we ask for counsel to review?
We did.
And did we get anything? Was he contacted?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
essentially, that's the regulation that was.
We asked for
discussed.
specifics from town council on looking into.
Because there was a legal matter that
I
also
wanted to know
from
legally
previous.
from town council what the deal was.
years.
We agreed that it was going to be handled.
I understand where you're coming from that, but I believe that is a private matter. I understand the board's request for that, but that's between two particular landowners not
It
involved
wasn't
in the
that.
property.
If I might refrain, we as the board requested something.
Let me see what the meeting minutes
We
are.
wanted to know for ourselves.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, but we wanted to know as board what kind of information we get from council on this information. So when we request something, that's supposed to be handled and followed through. I'd like to know why it wasn't.
So just through the chair, I can answer that because I asked Matt at that meeting because what I was unclear about was whether it was state law or our bylaw related to the 50-foot easement granting to a landlocked parcel. So Matt's looked that up and worked with council, and it's only in our subdivision regs. So it's not a state law, it's not in our requirement law, bylaws for any type of project. So that's
So is
where.
there an email from town council referring to that, saying that?
No, sir.
Okay, so look, I'm going to reverse here. And why wasn't what we requested handled or an email sent to us saying that you didn't want to bother to get a hold of town council when we requested it? We've always said in the past, when we requested, whether it might have only been a sentence from town council, we get a response back.
Sure.
One way or another, he might just say refer to our own bylaw, that's fine. But there'd be notification from us from council.
Was there a verbal?
I didn't get
Where's
it.
my meeting minutes?
I can do that for you, sir. I don't mind doing that, and
I mean, we
I respect
requested
your
a meeting
request.
ago, that's all I'm getting at.
I understand,
Let me
I
just-
understand.
By more than me.
It was a previous request.
Yeah, I mean, it was all of us, yes.
I fully understand. I believe within, and I apologize. I read this many times, and I did give you my determination. I apologize. I will get you this, I will get you it from council in writing.
I just wasn't sure, from my education through the chair, Matt, the reason why I brought it up was because I wasn't sure if it was a state law requirement that if there's a project coming before, no matter what it is, a solar farm or something.
Yeah, it actually says in our meeting minutes, the last sentence, board requests town council's advice with the landlocked issue.
And normally, I mean, that's, I thought the purpose of the board and what's supposed to be fulfilled by,
So we still don't have the fire department's approval, and we don't
Right.
have the neighbors
time yet.
sign off, so we can get that for the 13th. And I know you want to hash it out. I think we've discussed it, and there's things in black and white, and then we can get town council's advice on the black and white of the bylaw.
Yeah, I mean, our bylaw requires no more than 10%.
Yeah.
So that's the fire chief saying, yeah, okay, I'm all right with 12%, doesn't necessarily mean that the board has to accept that regulation. If we require.
No, the chief didn't want it waived.
Yeah, he wants to.
He didn't want it waived.
But even if that's worked out, we still have to.
We still have to
that
do-
still
we
has to
have
be a
it as
waiver.
well.
That still has to be a waiver for us. And secondly, we keep referring to this is not a standard subdivision,
Control law, yeah.
but it all falls under subdivision. Flexible development.
The division of
residential
land.
compounds, everything comes, that's all under subdivision. Because it's going to be a private road doesn't mean that we're not allowed to ask these things. You know, I don't agree with that statement that it's.
Well, I'm just
Because it's not
wondering.
going to be a public road that,
Right, so,
You have
but
no
I'm
say
wondering,
over it.
what is your
No say
opinion, yes, but what is your opinion of what you're looking for rights to an
well,
easement?
that's what I want town council to tell
Okay.
me.
I'll take that a step, sorry, through the chair. Take yours a step further and also get an answer to that at the same time.
Thank
That be okay?
yeah, that's why, I mean,
Understood.
Yeah.
it's in the minutes.
And Matt, I just through the
Good
chair,
minute taker.
I wouldn't be sure if it was, when I raised it last meeting, was I wasn't sure it was related to any development of a parcel, and if there was mass general law requiring, hey, you have to grant an easement to the landlocked parcel.
No,
Whether it's a solar farm
this
or
is
anything.
creative development,
Our local regulations.
separent from subdivision control law.
It's just different branches of our subdivision bylaw and regulations. And town council needs to answer that question.
Okay,
I'll make sure we have that.
okay.
I'll also circulate that ahead of the meeting. So if there's any other discussion that you'd like to have with me, I'm happy to do it. Same.
So, as a board, we've identified the limit of the issues at this moment, right? Those 3 issues, okay. Okay. Do you guys want to say anything? You have anything before I open it up? Public hearing, name and address.
Meg Schlesman, 772 Northwest Main Street. I believe that the answer is in front of you in terms of the abutters, and I understand your request, but and certainly town council can weigh in and opine on that and give you what you need in order for that to be in the record. But as I had mentioned at the last meeting, that matter was litigated. We were sued by those people in terms of gaining access to that
Excuse me,
property.
what's their name?
The McCullums.
Okay, so sued by the McCullums, not those people.
Our apologies.
No worries at all. I'm not offended or anything, but I just wanted to make sure we get their name in there, so.
Sure,
Thank you.
well, they're here and they certainly can stand up and speak.
I know, but not those people.
All right,
Thank you.
please, if you have anything to add, what about the buffer thing and putting it in writing and getting it signed for us to grant the waiver for the bylaw that we have?
What you may want to address, Ron, here, because
But-
he may want to speak.
Yes, Jude said that you did not want to
No, I
put that
do
in
not want
writing.
to add anything other than the fact that we've agreed to provide the buffer vegetation that he has requested into the agreement.
Okay, so I'm still gonna, for me, I'm gonna require that something is in writing from the abutter in order for us to grant the waiver request for the buffer.
But you as a planning board can grant the waiver without his approval.
Right, I'm speaking for myself.
And what is
My
it that you wanna
opinion.
see?
Something in writing that he's in agreement with what is planned.
And what if he is not in agreement?
Then we'll have to have a discussion.
Okay.
So we'll have to make a decision as a board. But that's what historically, we've requested that so that everyone's on the same page. I haven't heard anything that proves to me that there's any harm in putting that in writing. I haven't heard any argument that Matt has told us that it's not allowed in that zone, and I don't know why it can't be deduced to writing.
For us, it's because that's in perpetuity. If we have an agreement with someone that says that something won't be done, and long after I'm gone, there could be things that occur that we've handcuffed ourselves from other things happening.
It's a compromise, but you'll be gone. But it's a compromise. We're making this a compromise. We could just say, no, you have to meet the requirements of a residential compound. But we're trying to work because we want to see the project get approved.
As do we.
Right. So, anyone in the audience? Okay. Name and address, please.
Ron Anderson, 774 West Main. So, basically where I'm at now, I tried to make the agreement. It doesn't seem to be working. So I'd rather see the road at 30 feet, if that's what it's gonna be.
Oh, okay. A road at 30 feet. Okay. Is that a possibility?
Everything's possible.
Well, you have enough room, right?
Yeah, you got enough frontage there to shift, right? 30 feet if you have to.
And the only issue for getting that buffer is the ledge that's present and the existing conditions.
Anytime you realign the road, we're going to be moving it over, say, 20 feet to comply with the regulations. So you're grubbing, you're stripping, you're probably hitting ledge, you're moving the ledge, then you're putting base back down, whereas we have an existing base now that we're just trying to strengthen up and beef up for the fire department.
Is there exposed ledge out there?
You can see it. There's a reason why they went where they went when they built it.
Yeah, I think there's this rock on the,
Do you have anything shown in the plans, the existing conditions plan for outcropping?
It's not outcropping. You can see where the spoils off to the side when you drive up. It's all leaf littered and going over.
Clipped on the left side.
Yep.
There. Yeah, it looks almost like a plate stone, not a stone wall, but
I bet you if you just scratch down 6 inches, you would expose the ledge, but it's from leaf litter and everything going on top of it.
Okay, I don't know if that would be helpful to the board, but maybe, exploring that. If you're saying 6 inches, you can take a shovel, right, and see.
You want me to prove that there's ledge there?
Well, I'm just trying to work with you, yeah, if it can't move over without.
It's not just the ledge, though, like I said. It's moving it, digging everything out,
Yeah, yeah,
It's expensive to
yeah,
move the driveway.
right,
You can't come to an agreement.
right.
But you're
Yes.
developing the properties. You know, I mean, if you want to develop property, you have to go by the rules and regs, and if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes, or you don't develop it. Sell it as it is, but you can't just say, this is what I want to do, and not meet the rules and regs. Without getting.
I'm just looking for somewhat of a
If
hardship.
doesn't agree, then it's up to the people developing it.
Okay.
Work it out.
Jude, between now and the next meeting,
I mean, I would prefer if I got a letter for a blessing from the neighbor. That's what my preference would be. But if it's expansive ledge, and then I could consider that, but.
Or you put in a subdivision road. Or you put in a subdivision road
Yeah.
and you get the lot you get, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
You can only bend the rules so far.
Anything else? Comments, questions? Mr. Anderson? Sorry, let me just finish up with him.
Can I suggest one more thing?
Sure.
If the road does get moved, there are 2 telephone poles that are here. I think it would be beneficial to move them to this side. That way this could be left to grow. Basically, we have to go and keep maintaining power lines, or we could put them on the ground for the first 254 feet. That's an option.
That might be an existing national grid.
yeah.
Yeah,
Where
we're
the
not
poles
sure
are, where the poles
about
are.
that. Yeah,
National Grid.
Yeah.
yeah.
Problem is they have to keep getting maintained, so now you have to have access over there.
Well, National Grid could
That's a homeowner.
relocate them too. They've got an easement, that's not anything to do with it. What? All right, anyone else from the audience?
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to shift gears back.
Name and address.
I mean, 40 acres, it's 124-3. No, I brought my own, because I was working. So without going through the whole history of everything, here's my parcel down here. No maps you can kind of look at. Here's my parcel down here. Originally, this piece and this piece were all in my Chamberlain. When Chamberlain sold, the town owned all the green, and then the Schleismans and Chapman owns the majority of what's here now.
Can you just repeat, sorry, I was shuffling the papers, I just didn't get to see what was the original.
Originally, this was, my father bought this in '84. I bought it from him in 2012. This whole thing was Chamberlain's. He sold it in 2000, I believe. The green, he sold to the town, so it was already pretty much subdivided between the town, the Schleismans and the Chapmans. The town now is selling house lots on Northwest Main. What I gave last meeting was basically just a suggestion for an easement, which was off the cul-de-sac. And I'm trying as much as I can, again, these are all suggestions, just to kind of maintain something that's going to be as least invasive to the lots that they're looking to create. Other options that are there is there's already an existing right-of-way going to the Beagle Club that the town owns. It's gated. And so the easement goes through the town property. I could easily jog off 200 feet off of that if I was able to get an easement from the town. I understand that's a lot of hoops to go through. That would put me on an existing road that brings me down right to my property, and it also would free up another 10-acre parcel out here. So that would free up the only 2 parcels that are landlocked to the south. I believe there's another one over here. So off the town property over to here, my father's existing road, which was lost in litigation because it was blocked by boulders when they were building, so it had to be litigated because that was the one that was used for, was his easement. That one also is town property. It's an existing road, and we follow the existing road that's there, right to the property. Even the Mid-State Trail, There's actually a roadway that goes right to the property too, that would come over here and would get me to there. So all of that would avoid coming off of the cul-de-sac in the existing private way, which is in the bylaws, that I can't come off the existing way or the private road. Now I have nothing to do with that private road.
Just through the chair, point of clarification. The Chamberlain parcel that the town owns, the town hasn't been selling off building lots out front. That was already done during decades ago when Chamberlain owned the property, and the town ended up receiving the property. So the town wasn't cutting house lots off up there that I'm aware of.
Yes, they were.
sold that
Yes, they
down.
were.
Really? They sold that down?
We acquired that piece of property,
Yeah.
and we cut out house lots all along there.
Absolutely.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
See, I even heard
Recently.
of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
And
for
that's
my
what I'm
time.
saying, this is all being divided, and I'm just,
Recently.
my fear is that once more properties start going in here, I'm really landlocked now. Because now I'm going through more properties and trying to get more access. There's no place, I can't even really walk to my property without having to be posted. There's no place to park on Northwest Main. Just to walk up there to hunt, to go walk the property is near impossible.
1 second, and 1 second. So when this land became landlocked,
Yes.
there should have been an easement for access from a public way.
That-
Where is that?
That was all done through litigation. Like I say, Sanborn, I don't know if anybody's familiar with Sanborn's
No.
campground, like Manchog. That's when my father bought the property from, was back there. Chamberlain said that this was his right of way. My father had this road surveyed all the way to his property by Andrews, and I want to say it was off by less than a foot. But it got lost in litigation. So he lost that easement in litigation for whatever reason. So then it just left, and the outcome, from what I understand, was you have other accesses. They never told us any other accesses, no other access that I know of can be found.
Okay.
So it is.
And what is your intent for this easement?
100% to walk on it, hunt on it, maybe start getting my wood on it like I did as a kid. 100%. Not look at the building, not look at, just look at the whole thing. That's it.
Okay.
Not trying to stop a subdivision, not trying to step on any toes. I'm just trying to get to my property. And to me, this is the best possibility, sorry.
May I ask a question through the chair?
Sure.
So you pointed that green, no, down along the shared property here, that there's a roadway here or some sort of a path here?
Yes, the
Here.
Schleis, correct, the Schleisman's put in a road where you could drive a two-wheel truck down, except for a couple ledge situations, you could drive a truck right down this. So the road's already existing. I'm not even looking to put it in, it's already
So
there.
from here to here is what, 60 feet, 80 feet?
Yeah. But again, with your bylaws, I can't come off the existing private way, so then I'd have to petition the town to see if I could get something through there or the Mid-State Trail. Well, I'm open to any suggestions.
But if it was a private agreement through
Can I?
private
Yeah.
easement, which you can create, I mean, then this would resolve.
We're not here to solve this problem.
Can we pause for 1 second? Matt has an idea.
Yeah, so, and thank you for this, I know we talked about this earlier, about kind of bringing this to our attention, and we also discussed opening up a dialogue with the town administrator to possibly explore any sort of way to access this through town property. And I appreciate this coming forward, and I'll try to open that dialogue. Given that the matter before us now is simply the matter before us now, we'll definitely take the information. I don't know how it's going to be applicable to this project or not, but we appreciate you bringing this forward, and I'll certainly open up that dialogue with the administrator, so.
And I would be curious to find the right-of-way that was granted when this became landlocked.
I mean, through all the lawyers and
Through anything, yeah.
the proceedings of losing that original right away, they couldn't find anything as far as a legal easement.
So it's gone.
Okay.
And again, that went through all litigation. My father's a lawyer, there's no way they could not find a legal easement to that property. It is land.
How many years?
Around there. My father bought it in '84, and that was with him, and then this all happened in 2000, but that was Sanborn's road for 40, 50 years before that. It's known as the town road and all the deeds. We went back to
Open and notorious for use?
Okay.
Let's put it this way, I have a map book from my company, and it actually has this road on the map book, going to my father's property. It's actually on the map book.
All right. Yeah, well, let's see what we can do. But I appreciate your presentation.
you very much.
You're welcome. Anyone else on the line? Comments, questions? Who's Corey Stevens? Did you have something to say? Name and address, please.
No, it can wait.
Okay, okay,
Further evaluation.
okay. If you want to submit anything to Matt, that would be helpful. Just send it along his email. Board, any other comments? So I think, as far as tonight's, we didn't uncover any additional issues. So we're looking to have those issues taken care of, right? That's what you, yes. That's, so we're looking next meeting to have those answers for those 3 issues. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. just
Yeah.
to make one quick clarification.
Yeah.
As far as litigation goes, that wasn't with me.
Okay.
It was my father.
Yeah.
That wasn't with me.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to continue to 7:30 on the 13th of January. Motion made by Aaron, second by Jake. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Jude? Find that ledge. Well, then it's a hardship, right? Then you get something, you know?
Okay, we good to go? You all
Yeah,
set?
I think, is there anything else for?
We can sign what's in here.
Yeah, go.
Just keep everything in the folder.
Ben?
Matt, all set?
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, wait, hold on 1 second. Pause that. Excuse me, sir, are you here for anything?
Yeah, a continuation of the White Heights, the 2 lot releases from last meeting.
We just did White and Heights.
We didn't, that wasn't on our agenda.
Yeah.
We requested the last meeting and we requested they continue it pending the installation of the sidewalks and the curbing.
Didn't make it on the agenda. Are you, what is your name?
Austin Sanders.
Oh, is it, he's the
Are you-
contractor?
You're the contractor?
Yeah.
For White and Heights?
Bob's on vacation, so Austin's his right-hand man.
Were you supposed to put it on the agenda?
So we granted 3 lot releases last meeting. So
He's looking for 1 and 11.
Correct.
So it's not on the agenda.
Correct. We granted the 3 so they could move forward. The other 2 were
With
holding back
actual
because of the
permits.
road
that's what we said.
and the sidewalk was gonna be in and stuff like that. And we didn't get any report. We granted 3 out of the 5 that was being seeked.
The framing. So we're looking basically for the same conditional foundation permits as these last 2.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You're
that's
saying it's not on the agenda.
No.
Yeah.
It's just not on.
No.
And did you request by email
Requested
to?
last meeting and continued it. It's in the letter.
It's not a continuance, it's not a public
No,
hearing.
was it?
It's other business.
Hold on 1 second.
Could be additional business.
It's not on.
He would like to add lots number 1 and number 11 to December 9th, 2021 agenda.
It's on the minute.
So unfortunately, you'll have to wait till
Minute.
January 13th.
We can't vote on getting the conditional permits for it.
No. I don't think so.
You were doing a good job. January meeting?
Yeah.
What's that?
No, it says December 9th, 2021. Today's
In the
meeting.
minutes.
In the minutes.
Previous meeting, yeah.
But it was
But there was, I don't believe there was anything in writing. That's why it was not,
in writing requesting the release?
yeah.
It's-
I'm looking for
I think he said.
I have the letter from the last.
it. You sent it today, that doesn't help me. The agenda was.
Was submitted?
Yeah, it was submitted on the 15th in November.
Is this thing red?
How's the foundation issue going?
A nightmare.
Can you just fill in the 3 feet and pour another interior foundation wall and bury that portion of the foundation? So it's an underground? Why not?
House is built. We just continued.
Oh, I didn't
this
know.
last one. The entire house is built.
To the 113 or 115 or?
Yeah.
You swap, yeah. Yeah, you know you can't do the swap, right?
Yes.
No, you told him to swap
Oh, he broke the news to you.
Yeah.
But he fought with me for home warning about it.
gently, but.
The
Yeah.
letter I have on November 15th is to request the release 4, 6, and 7, which we did. What am I missing?
What was it, November 12th?
15th.
November 13th. There was an email?
Where that? Send it to me?
Ernie, so we've got a bond.
I'm sorry.
So we've got a bond, but we were doing, because of the lack of action, right?
We wanted to make sure the sidewalks were
We
right
had
and everything else.
So are the sidewalks?
I was
Yes?
personally there the whole time
Permission?
watching them.
Yes.
Permission to take this item up under development review planner updates?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, as far as the lot releases, we do have bond in place and reports coming from our peer review consultant that work is continuing to be done on the road. I believe you guys reached a point where the engineer is satisfied with what you guys have done. I have talking to Ken Fraser about this, he does agree with the situation as well. We do have a sufficient bond to complete any remaining work. However, his concern about this is related to if any other, I guess, damage is done to the roadway after the lots are released, does our bond remain sufficient in that regard? Now, I fully understand that. However, I believe the board would be within their purview if they hold a bond to request additional bond funds if that does happen. So I don't have an issue with the lot release at this time. If with the chairman's consent, we allow to take this up under development review planner updates on our agenda.
Yeah, allowed. Not anticipated, 48 hours.
Do we know how much is in the bond? Ballpark?
Yeah, give me a
Yeah, he's got that.
Give me a second. I got a stack of stuff over here now. Let me see if I can handy it.
Well, good thing I saw you behind Mike's head.
I was gonna look, I didn't see it on the agenda, but Bob asked.
So you are assisting now fully in the project progress?
Yes,
Lots of days,
yes.
lots of communication and,
159,120.
Much better.
Okay.
So you're suggesting that we keep all that bond till the very end, till...
and if further damage happens, additional
Additional money would be.
Bounds are all put in, everything's done,
Yeah,
that's built.
it's all list itemized like that.
All right.
What I would suggest, because some of the stuff is done, and I think he's anticipating coming in for bond reduction, but what was just discussed was shifting some of that over, maybe releasing some of it, but just figuring out an amount to shift over for damage to the roadway.
yeah.
Well, yeah, because you don't have
But
top
like
coat
in
yet.
addition
that
to
does
that
make-
10%
Yeah, that'd be-
Well, just like
contingency.
the circumstance we had the other week,
You don't have top
where there was
coat.
damage to a road that was just accepted, and they got fixed.
It's not top coated yet.
Correct, but it's too late to top coat it.
Oh, yeah.
Way too
We're doing
late.
that in the spring.
Yeah, so,
We got the sidewalks, all the
Correct.
aprons are in, even for the
Okay.
ones that are
Is it asphalt?
So I
or
think-
concrete sidewalk.
asphalt.
asphalt, yeah.
Asphalt.
Yeah.
So we're looking for the...
Entertain, yeah, with the condition that if further damage occurs, that owner shall, or the applicant shall provide additional bond monies
Above and
to
beyond.
cover the, yes, to cover
Above
the
and beyond what's in
damage.
there?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm okay with
Yeah.
that.
Seems fair.
Agree.
I mean, I'm fair with that. The,
Lots 1 and 11, is it?
to release lots 1 and 11,
Cover that. Yeah, because they did the 150.
I think in good faith, the developer's doing a good job of keeping this project moving.
Okay.
I think we have sufficient bond.
it was rocky there for a while.
Yeah, it was super rocky,
For a while.
super, super ledgy.
For a while.
these crazy.
Well, did it-
I'll make that motion, I'll make that motion.
yeah. Jake makes
Okay,
a motion.
with
So-
the caveat of,
Additional funds will be required for any further damage, or if any damages
Yeah.
are done above and beyond the bond amount.
yes.
So moved on that.
Okay, motion's made by Jake,
I'll second that.
seconded by Mike Z. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Make a motion.
Motion made, seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.